is segment 3 for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2014. Living in Texas near the Mexican border has become akin to living in a war zone. An invasion of foreigners has been underway for years, but the stream of humanity coming over the border has become a mighty river. Ranchers are afraid to work their land for fear of being robbed or killed. Much of the ranch land has been in the same families since the early 1800s, but now these Americans can't enjoy their property anymore because the U.S. government is aiding and encouraging hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants to flood over the border without fear of arrest and deportation. Even worse, ranchers know that if they have a violent confrontation with the illegals, powerful socialist political activist groups in America will sue them on behalf of the violent criminals who trespassed on their land. Furthermore, the U.S. Department of Justice may come in and investigate the ranchers for hate crimes. To give you an idea of how dangerous it is to be a Texas rancher these days, ranchers are being advised by U.S. Border Patrol officers to wear bulletproof vests while working their land. The U.S. government, and I'm pointing my finger at both political parties, are guilty of more than negligence. They are guilty of more than dereliction of duty. They are guilty of knowingly facilitating and assisting a foreign invasion of U.S. soil. And in my opinion, that's treasonous behavior. Dr. Mike Vickers is a veterinarian and rancher. He leads the Texas Border Volunteers, a group of 300-plus ranchers and citizens who assist law enforcement officials to track drug and human smugglers entering the U.S. from Mexico. The website is texasbordervolunteers.org. Dr. Vickers, welcome to Tru-News.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. And everything you said is exactly true, and then some. I mean, there's no question the cartels own the riverfront property all the way from El Paso to Brownsville, 1,264 miles. And they also own a large portion of the riverfront property on the Texas side. And I'm talking about rural counties like Webb County, Zapata County, Starr County, Hidalgo County, and they don't own it by occupation. They own it by intimidation. Ranchers get threatening calls. If you call the Border Patrol when you see activity on your property, we're going to come back tomorrow and kill you.
Really?
We know where your kids go to school in Zapata, Texas, or Laredo, Texas. We know where your wife shops at the store in Laredo. We'll come and get you. And
the drug dealers are calling the ranchers and making these threats on the phone?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of them have moved to San Antonio, Corpus Christi, so forth. Some of them don't get the phone calls, but when they go to town, they come back and their home has graffiti written all over it. Don't come back. This is our ranch now, so forth and so on. And consequently, the ones that stay, they see criminal activity on their property, drug smugglers or human smugglers, they do not call law enforcement because there's absolutely no one down here that's going to protect them. The Border Patrol don't have the resources. The Texas Rangers don't have the resources. The State Department of Public Safety don't have the resources, and the local Sheriff's Department don't have the resources. So it's we're pretty much on our own down here most of the time. But most recently, the state stepping up, Governor Perry, providing these DPS surge operations has really helped. It's added boots on the ground for the Border Patrol, and then this recent development of the Texas National Guard is absolutely a big thumbs up for all of us.
That's good. Dr. Vickers, it's been 16, 17 years since I was last in Southwest Texas. I lived there years ago. And, it's been at least 16, 17 years since I was, in the southwestern part of the state, anywhere, Laredo, Langtree, McAllen, Brownsville. Back then it was fairly safe to drive along the Pecos River and the Rio Grande River. Is it safe now?
Well, it's still safe, but you have to be vigilant. And you probably want to make sure that you exercise your Second Amendment rights. You not only have a couple of loaded pistols, but you may want to have an AR-15 with you as well. I make that trip all the way up to Lajitas and Pecos several times a year, and it's nerving to do it at night. There's very, very little traffic on those roads, but you just have to be very, very vigilant and be prepared for the worst.
So we're at a place now. It's not just ranchers are being intimidated with criminals on their land. Ranchers are literally being driven off their land.
Well, that's exactly right. Even in Brooks County, we're 60 miles north of the Rio Grande, and we have one of the biggest and most active checkpoints in the nation right here in our county, and all of this flood of humanity is paying big money to cartels to be brought up here and dropped off south of this checkpoint, and then all this invasion comes around through our private property. And this is what we do as Texas Border Volunteers. We identify these trails, give the GPS coordinate to the Border Patrol and the Texas Rangers and the DPS. They key those coordinates into their helicopters. And then this drawbridge system that we actually did the pilot project on 7 years ago. For the Texas Rangers, we put cameras on those trails, and these have been a real added force multiplier, along with ourselves, in trying to get a lot of this traffic apprehended. But we're talking about 82% of this traffic coming from the rest of the world, including Africa, Nigerians, Kenyans, Eritreans, Somalians, Sudanese, and with this Ebola threat, I mean, this is a big concern.
What about Middle Easterners?
Oh, absolutely. That's happening as well. And we've had 3 or 4 instances to substantiate that within the past year. I mean, we reported a group of 10 coming out of a large ranch we called the Border Patrol. They weren't able to get to the highway location we predicted that these people would come out at. We followed them, and as they went over the fence, one of them dropped something out of his pocket. And it was an Urdu translation dictionary, Urdu in English. And Urdu is spoken in Afghanistan. It's also spoken in Pakistan. And it was obvious that this belonged to the Coyote, bringing 9 Middle Easterners in here. It had phrases in its circle like, you must pay in dollars, do you speak Spanish, do you speak English, and so forth. Since then, during our June operation, there was a bailout in our area of operation. This is where the Border Patrol identify a bunch of people loading up in a vehicle, and they're heading north. They attempt to pull them over. They run off the road, run through the fence, and everybody bails out and runs. In the back of that, in the back seat, was a pouch containing a large sum of Iranian money. So, and then since then, just a few weeks ago, while a lot of the children and families were giving up close to McAllen, further down the river, the Border Patrol apprehended 4 Syrians coming in. So they're here, and they're coming, and it's a big concern for us. We need to get the United States to step up and shut this border down. I mean, it's just wide open.
Dr. Vickers, the United States government in Washington, not only are they not going to do it, they're for this invasion.
It's just amazing to me. I can tell you there are members, ranking members, that know this, and they're doing everything they can in their capacity to get something done. And Chairman McCall, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, he knows what's happening. He's doing everything in his capacity as the chairman of that committee to address this issue. And with that, we recently, within the past year, had 3 aerostats. These are high technology balloons that have sophisticated camera and night vision equipment on them, set up in Brooks County and another county south of us. And these things are a tremendous force multiplier. They're seeing a lot of this traffic coming through, and the Border Patrol, with the resources they have, are getting a lot of that traffic apprehended. However, they still do not have enough boots on the ground to apprehend all of it. And this is the traffic that we're having to deal with up here north of the checkpoint.
Okay, but here's the problem. And the Border Patrol officers and Texas Rangers and the local sheriffs and their deputies, they're all doing an outstanding job. They're great Americans. But you and I both know that no matter how many of these illegals and these criminals and drug dealers that they're capturing, Washington is ordering them to release them.
Well, that's right, and there's no penalty for them coming in here, and consequently, they turn around and come back. And a perfect example was these two individuals that shot and killed Agent Vega last month.
Yes,
they had four. One of them had 4 deportations, and they call what they call a voluntary return for Mexicans. That's like a slap on the hand. Out of those 4 deportations, I think he was the third one, I think he was fined $10, and then the fourth one he was fined $100. So for $110, Agent Vega lost his life.
I think the bureaucrat in Washington or wherever he or she was that signed each one of these releases should be charged with a criminal offense. A man lost his life because of somebody's, if you want to call it negligence, it's not negligence. It's outright treasonous behavior. They know what they're doing. They're releasing criminals. And now Mr. Vega is dead and his children are without a father.
Oh, that's right. And, I went to that funeral, and his 3 sons were pallbearers. And I tell you, it was a gut-wrenching experience.
We donated to the family, to the memorial fund.
Our Board of Volunteers did as well, and will continue to do so, and they need all the help they can get. But another example, just a few weeks ago, we had one on our property that had 6 voluntary returns. He threatened 2 of my employees, came at him with a club. He ended up trying to set my ranch on fire, and of course we were able to get him restrained and with our dogs actually put him up in the tree, and the Border Patrol hauled him off. ICE took him away, and he'll probably, hopefully, get some jail time out of it. You never know with this administration, but for sure he's going to be back. And this is a big concern for all of us. And we're not able to get our local DAs and county attorneys to file state charges on them because of lack of funding. It's a very frustrating situation. And this is something that I talked about at a hearing in Austin yesterday. So anyway.
Dr. Vickers, the quality of life has been taken away from the ranchers. They can't enjoy their own land anymore.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, all of us have to, if we're going to stay on the ranch, we're definitely armed to the teeth, not only with a pistol, as I mentioned, but maybe an AR-15 with a couple of 30-round magazines and a cell phone. And then we're constantly vigilant. You can't turn your back on anything, any situation, or, you just never know when a criminal is going to come out of the brush and come after you to try to steal your vehicle or probably hurt you.
But you might, if you wound or kill one of these intruders, you may have Eric Holder breathing down your neck.
But this is a big concern for all of us. That's exactly right. And, I mean, it's critical. It's a critical situation for all of us. Half of us have already moved off the ranch and moved to cities and just spend limited time on the ranch, just checking the windmills, have people in charge of checking the cattle. But what's happening also, this is a big hunting area, big hunting leases on these properties. And now a lot of the people from up north, from Florida and all around, are not buying these hunting leases, which is a huge income for our ranchers in this area. They're not wanting to send employees or business customers and so forth on a hunting trip to South Texas for this very reason. They're afraid they're going to have an encounter with an armed group of human or drug smugglers. So this is costing us big time down here.
And it's a shame. It grieves me to hear that Americans are being driven off their land for safety. It's unthinkable that this is happening in the United States. Now, you said Governor Perry's decision to put National Guard troops on the border has helped?
Well, they're just getting started. It's my understanding right now they're in Rio Grande City, Starr County, which is a big smuggling route for the cartels. And, there's been some skepticism about them not being armed. We're not sure whether they're going to be armed or not. They are going to be assisting the DPS, Texas Department of Public Safety. But even somebody standing out there by a trail with a night vision equipment, with a cell phone, or with a radio to communicate to the Border Patrol that traffic's coming, that's a big plus. There's been some comments that they're not going to be anything but a bunch of scarecrows. I don't care what they do. Their presence is going to be a positive thing for people living along the border that have property along the river. It's going to be a positive situation. For sure, we need more boots on the ground, and that means federal boots on the ground and more Border Patrol agents.
All right, well, final question. Based on the present level of the crisis, what will it really take to secure the border?
Well, number one, it's going to take enforcement of our current laws. These people cannot be allowed to come into our country with no consequences. We need to send every single solitary one of them back home where they came from, child, woman, adult, whatever. We haven't got the resources to take care of these people, and they're absolutely going to be a drain on our institutions, our hospitals, our welfare system, our schools. There's absolutely nothing positive to come out of it. We have got to send these folks back. And then we need internal enforcement as far as severe penalties for people that are hiring them for less wages than what they would pay an American citizen. There's thousands, hundreds of thousands of homeless people in this country that could be put into some kind of a program to make themselves useful and a productive member of society. This is what we need to focus on and send absolutely everyone that has no respect for our laws in coming into our country illegally, send them back where they came from.
All right, my guest, Dr. Mike Vickers, and he's with the Texas Border Volunteers, their website, texasbordervolunteers.org. Thank you, Dr. Vickers. Take care.
Oh, you bet. Anytime. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you.
Okay, hey, one more remark.